thinking about how can I better myself and how can I go into this training session to better my training partner, and not making your hard striking session or sparring sessions, and not making the submission or getting pinned mean something about you. Welcome back, everyone, to Vaughn and Dan's podcast. I'm Vaughn. Dan is out working right now, but this is starting off season 2 for us. My first episode for our second season of the Dan and Vaughn podcast. We still don't have a name for it yet. And I am introducing you to one of my oldest martial arts friends. And I don't mean oldest as in age. I mean old as in how long we've known each other. So go ahead and say hi to everyone, Goals.
Hey, everyone. My name is Golnaz. I go by Goalie. I go by Naz. I go by Goals. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I'm happy to be here with my friend Vaughn.
Yeah.
Hey.
So I wanted to, there's several reasons why I wanted Goalie to be my first guest. And other than her being, one of my oldest friends in martial arts, me and her are the type of friends that just when we reconnect and we start to have a conversation, it's like that conversation never ended after we haven't seen each other for several years. Yeah. And so that's what happened this year. Me and her reconnected and we had this awesome conversation. I don't even remember what prompted that conversation, but after it was such a deep, meaningful conversation. I texted her later, like 5 minutes later. I was like, my whole body is vibrating right now.
Yes.
It was just like, it was really good. I forgot. Do you remember why we reconnected?
We were talking, well, I'm a mental health professional, a psychologist by trade, and you are so many different things by trade, but one of the things that you hold to your heart is your coaching. And you had reached out to me to consult about, in a sense, how to be a better coach and to be more aware of some of the things that people go through, and ended up turning into being a really spiritual conversation, because when we think of psychology, it's really about the soul, about the spirit, about healing the heart, healing the mind. And that's the work that we do in general when we are working as coaches, as anybody that we are being empathic to. We are also supporting them in healing their heart, and healing their spirit, healing their soul, healing their mind. And so the work that you do, Vaughn, is extremely important, because you're doing work to support people to be better people. And so that's essentially what we were talking about, is how to use the skill sets that we have to support people in their evolution in their life.
Yeah. And I actually put out this conversation to my Facebook group, another group of friends. Well, I mean, we're all still connected via social media in one sense or another, but I've definitely dismissed Facebook because I just, Instagram comes out, TikTok comes out, YouTube comes out. That's what we're going to drop this on right now. But, and then you're like, Facebook, what's that for? But I forgot how we can really connect with friends in a little bit more of a meaningful way by just putting out a text post. And I posted, and told everybody, hey, I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 14 years. And in that 14-year time span, when I started because I just needed an outlet for what I was going through at the time. The first time I was introduced to it, I just kind of stumbled upon it. And it was during deployment where I really needed some support. And then afterwards, being a veteran, just recently, honorably discharged from the military, I still craved a support group. And that's what jiu-jitsu gave to me. Yes. But as you know, being like a competitive martial artist or athlete, like that thing that we use as our medicine, we then somehow find that we need medicine for.
Yes.
And so I started that conversation. And I was so surprised with not just how many people, but the people in general who reached out and commented about that they, you know, I wasn't alone in this, and you know, they also felt the same things.
Okay. Well, we started very similarly. Like the funny thing is you were drawn to jiu-jitsu and I was drawn to Muay Thai. So you became a full-blown ground gamer and I became a full-blown stand-up girl. Yeah. And the reason why I came into Muay Thai was because I needed an outlet. And I was in the midst of graduate school. I felt like I was working on my doctorate of psychology, and I felt like I was drowning. You know, I felt like I needed to find some way to be myself and to express myself and to feel free instead of in conformity, because in graduate school, especially with going into a doctorate program, there's a high level of competition and people expecting you to be a certain type of way, and I don't conform very easily. So I needed an outlet. I needed an outlet. And so I was like, let's try Muay Thai. And I came into UFC by the way of a friend who did martial arts, and then that started my long journey of meeting great friends, you being amongst that and being part of my life for such a long time. Even though we do martial arts, we do two separate sports for the most part, but like we have always been there for each other and training partners and just having a blast and being supportive whenever we're having a hard time. Like, you've been there for me for so many years and for so many things, and I appreciate just coming into the sport and having you as my friend and meeting you. So it's super meaningful.
Oh, I feel the love. I feel the love. Yeah, you guys.
So. Big hug.
Yeah. She literally has been a long-standing friend. She knew my nephew when he was still in the belly. Now he's 10 years old. She's met my mom, my dad, my ex-boyfriends when I used to live in Walnut Creek. New boyfriends.
Yes.
And yeah, just we've really seen each other grow. Tirza, can you share the that UFC gym video of us back in the day? I titled this video "Baby Martial Artists" because we were really babies in the game.
We were really young. But look at you. I was just wearing my white belt. You had already done your belt progression, and you're just so talented at this sport. Look at you putting me in submission like that.
Well, we were drilling too.
We were drilling, but still, like, this is like a face of happiness, you know? We just love each other.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I
am
am doing Muay Thai
and make you happy.
Yeah,
you are.
I really have fallen in love with Muay Thai. I really started and got deep into it training out of the Resistance in Pleasanton with that team. And it's such a crazy, because, you know, I live out here in Daly City, as you know, and you're on the other side of the bay. So it was such a crazy commute for me. Now I'm trying to focus on my training, at least on this side of the bay, as much as I can. Yes. And so now I'm checking out Wood and Man's spot, which I actually really enjoy. And they have a pretty good women's coach, as you said, and women's team.
Yes. Malia. Yeah. I think Malia is there, right? I think it's Malia. Malia is awesome.
I don't.
Long time strike force fighter. Like, she calls herself a spider monkey. She's so, like, she's dope. Like, she's an awesome person all around and an awesome coach all around and long time in the game. She's such a good person to train with. So, yeah. And Johnson Ong, you can't go wrong. Like I said, old time gamers.
Yeah. Johnson Ong was there and Malia wasn't there because that day when I went to go visit and try out the gym, there was the smoker or some sort of tournament that was happening, and so she was gone to go coach that. So I haven't actually had the opportunity to try her classes yet. But I'm excited because there's like at the Resistance, there's like some really awesome female leaders and strikers at the Resistance. But I'm actually really excited to like be in a place where there's literally an all female class and an all female like leadership out of that gym. So that's really exciting to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should go again. It's been so long since we've trained with each other. I think that video is a testament of how long it's been since we've trained with each other. What date is that video from?
Oh my God. I don't even know. So I started training in 2009 and it took a year for me to get my blue belt. So I got my blue belt in 2010. So I can only assume it's like 2010, 2011 when that video was shot.
12 years. 12 years.
No, but you came out here and visited me at when FTCC was FTCC in Daly City.
Yes, you're right.
So we've trained together since, but we're still trying to. She's on the East Bay, y'all. So if you're not from California and the Bay Area in general, it is kind of a trek to get out here from that side.
It is. And, like, it's been, I don't know, I can say this for both of us because we're both women, and being women fighters in a male-dominated sport is difficult. And it's hard to find a safe space, and it's where, we're not getting beaten up on, but it's also like you want to find a cool space where people are going to help you grow. And, there's something about being a woman fighter where it's like, don't treat me like a female. Like, treat me as though I'm your equal, because it doesn't matter if you're male. Like, I can still throw down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I might do better than you. So don't back up. Don't pull your punches. If you pull your punches, then maybe I don't want to spar with you anymore, so, and probably. But
I can imagine, I can imagine as a man, especially a man who was treated, or not treated, but raised right, like a man who's raised not to hit women, it's a difficult and a very fine line to tote, because on one hand, you're like, okay, this girl's an athlete, she's a professional, I need to treat her as such. So how am I supposed to train with her? Because then if a man is hitting, I think it's different in striking than in grappling. Whereas like a man is hitting a woman, is like, well, do I not pull my punches? Because I'm sure some form of that feels a little wrong.
It does.
But I do understand like the feeling as a female where you don't want to necessarily be patronized or belittled on the mat, not verbally, but in the drilling and sparring sessions. But at the same time, especially now since I'm in my late 30s, we're both like in our late 30s, start to like give our ages away. I won't say actual numbers.
Look how gorgeous we are. Black don't crack, yo.
That's what I'm saying right now. And look, we're in our late 30s because we both got this 80s kind of style going on. We're trying to bring it back. But yeah, like I'm extra careful with who I train with now, because the training for me is I'm trying to deepen my knowledge, I'm trying to deepen my technique, but I'm past the years of trying to prove myself. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
Like, I don't need to have ego battles anymore. And that's the thing. It's like, I don't need an ego battle to prove that I'm good enough because I'm a woman. I just need all I want is to deepen my training, and I want to train with safe training partners. And sometimes you train with, whether it's a man, and even sometimes, I haven't had this experience as much with women because I haven't had that many female training partners, but sometimes I've trained with people and it's an ego battle. It's an ego battle of, well, I don't want to tap today to this person because they're this and that, and that means something about me. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? That you're not only hurting yourself in your own personal growth, but you're also potentially putting your training partner in danger because you're having an ego battle with yourself about what it means to lose this fight or what it means to get submitted versus thinking about how can I better myself and how can I go into this training session to better my training partner, and not making your hard striking session or sparring sessions and not making the submission or getting pinned mean something about you.
Yeah.
Or that person.
Right. And you know, that is so very true. And it's hard because what I want to say is, as a female, when, let's say, I've been out of the game for a while, and so if I come back into the gym, there's like new people and they don't know me, right? So they're going to treat me like I'm a new person, but I need to work on my technique, right? And so people aren't going to want to be my drilling partner because they're like, oh, I don't know goalie. Whereas people who have been established there know me, and then they're like, oh, she's a female, she probably can't hit, or she probably can't do this sport. So then they don't choose you, you know, to be your training partner. And you're like, it's so frustrating because I have all this years of experience, and it's just like riding a bicycle, but my technique has faltered just because it's been so long that I haven't trained. And even if you take time away from the sport, a couple weeks or a couple months, you know, your technique does falter, you know, like your technique of throwing your kicks, of throwing your punches and whatnot. And I can't speak so much for jiu-jitsu because, quite frankly, I know we have some photos of jiu-jitsu, but jiu-jitsu is the one sport, even though I've done stand-up, jiu-jitsu is the one sport where I had long-lasting injuries with. And so I always would rather get punched in the face than put into a submission.
Oh my God.
Because it can be like, I mean, it's just a whole nother thing. But, you know, you want to be around safe training partners, and it's hard because men do have that idea where, you know, I've been raised to treat women with respect, or it's not respectful if I do this. And then on the other end of it, it's like, hey, you know, she's a female, she probably can't do this sport, you know? So then you humble them, and then men are like, okay, never mind, I'm backing off, you know? So it's
I don't know, I've
thing.
had like different experiences than that, especially, well, for me, it's definitely interesting when I start doing MMA because I don't have that MMA experience, and you know, and at the time when I first started, I didn't really have any striking experience, so I was a noob. But when we started to get into like the ground and pound scenarios, it's like, well, I've been doing this for almost a decade and a half. And because I'm new in striking, the guys think I'm new in jiu-jitsu. And I remember I was training with this guy, and he was just like, wait, what? I thought she was new. What's going on here?
How did she do that to me?
And he was just like going through his head, like, like, oh, she's
There's
a brown
the ego
belt? Oh my God.
there.
But he ended up being one of my best and most reliable training partners afterwards. And I think that is, certain people take defeat in different ways, and that's a testament of martial arts. Is how people take defeat, or like even just being challenged and being one-upped in the training session. So that is, to me, what I'm looking for when I choose my training partners now going forward. It's not how good they are. Yeah, of course. And it's also on me. How am I taking that defeat too? But if I'm besting you and you're besting me, okay, how are you taking that win? Are you taking it like, oh, you're the best in the world? Well, I don't want to train with you. If you get defeated by me and then you want to train with me more, I want to train with that person versus like getting defeated and then you're trying to come back at me super hard to the point where an injury is, like you said, I'm still getting over injuries that I have because of jiu-jitsu. And they do somehow hurt a little bit more than getting. Remember I visited one of your gyms and I got kicked in the head. I'm fine now.
Now you're fine.
In the head. I got
Yeah.
kicked in the head, but an
I
injury that I
can't, I
had
mean,
back in
unfortunately.
2012 still bothers me. Still
Yeah.
bothers me to this day.
Yeah. Yeah, the same. I have no cartilage in my elbows anymore.
Hmm.
And I remember I was fresh in the game during days when we were going to the gym, and I don't remember the name of the coach. Do you remember the female coach who was a black belt, who
Oh,
was like old
Jesse
school?
Turan.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I was doing her class, and we were just drilling, and this newbie who was this guy who white belt, I had him. I think I had him, but then he was pulling my arms out, and I had myself in a guard, and he was pulling my arms out and forcefully pulling my arms out, and I was trying to keep my arms in, and that resulted in a tear in my elbows. Like I don't know what I tore, but I tore something. And it affected my striking because I was more into stand-up than I was into jiu-jitsu. I couldn't put my hair up. I couldn't do anything because my arms were hurting for so long. And I didn't have insurance to go see a doctor, but and to this day, the end of the result is I have no cartilage in my elbow. It's like bone and bone on my left arm. And that's, I'm an orthodox fighter, and so that's part of the side that I lead on. So it's my jabbing arm. And so unfortunately, this is a long-standing injury for me, and it's by someone who who wanted to best a female, who was new, who was a white belt, and who forced and harmed somebody because of the ego. You know what I'm saying? And so we always come across people like that, but then on the other end is a testament to your story of the person that you were talking about, who's like your great training partner. We have those experiences too, and I think it depends on our ego a lot of the times. This is a sport that really tests somebody's ego and the ability to manage humility. Like, can we move on from a loss? And I had a coach who would be like, it's not a loss, it's a learning experience. So either you're going to win or you're going to learn. So, and that's what Muay Thai, that's what Jiu-Jitsu, that's what all types of martial arts teaches you, is not only how to handle our emotions, but also what do we do with our emotions, and can we become better because of these emotions that we're experiencing? Do we let them get us down and then kick, whatever, and say, I'm never going to do this again? Or are we going to just say, it's okay, keep hitting me, like, let's keep drilling because I need to get this down, and I want to get this down, and keep putting yourself in a state of humility where you're going to go against somebody that's better than you, because in this sport there's always going to be an up and comer that's going to be better than some of these OG people that have been so great in the sport. There's always going to be someone better than us. So we just, when we come into that mentality, and I think working with people that are fighters that have trained a lot with females, they know females' abilities and capacities to learn. And so there are people who are newer in the fight world who haven't had a lot of exposure to females, who will learn how to work with females. But I really think that God made females their ultimate fighters and ultimate champions, because we truly are extremely vicious in nature, and we are the hunters in nature. If you really think about how lions are created, the females are the ones that are hunting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
that is true.
And I think men are scared of women. They truly are. I think inside
Maybe.
they know. I think
Maybe
inside they know.
I don't know.
They know. That's why I think inside they know. They know. Because don't mess with a woman's wrath.
Well, definitely there's men out there who have that respectful fear. Like, you have respectful fear of somebody who has gone through things in their life that are there willing to learn and willing to help you learn, and also at the same time respectful fear in a way where they care they
Yes.
care about you. They care about your success. I have had, I think, a testament to martial arts, and I did have a lot of negative views of men before I entered into jiujitsu specifically.
Yeah.
And that some of it was from the military, and I experienced a lot of trauma in the military.
Yes.
I experienced some trauma, growing up too. And it wasn't until I got into jiu-jitsu where I was able to develop healthy, like life-lasting bonds with some really great men.
Yes.
And their fear, it comes from like that fear of like, your mom puts that fear, she breaks out that chocolate. Did you send me that meme on Instagram? I'm sorry, I've talked to tears at my producer, y'all.
Okay.
That meme on Instagram where the guy, I think he's like Muslim or whatever, and he's like, this is how you protect yourself against your mom if she's like trying to whip that chocolate at you. And then he's like, he's using his brother as a dummy, and he throws her, and then she comes out, and he's like, oh shit, his mama.
Okay.
Yeah, you know Harriet Strickland, so she
she don't play. Mama Harriet don't play. Mama Harriet don't play.
Tears has got the meme out. If some of y'all haven't seen it, or if you just want to see it again for a good laugh, she's gonna pull it up right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Swinging at you with this. This right here is my brother. He's gonna be playing my mom. So let's say you did something wrong, right? And she swings at you. Pop. Now you have wrist control. What you're gonna do now is move the trajectory of the sandal away from your face and then pivot inward. From here, you can either break her arm. What I like to do is turn it around. Pop.
Okay.
Now she's disarmed and you have full control. Hey! Show me. Okay, guys, this is my actual mom. Let's do this one more time. So let's say she swings at you, right? Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to defend yourself if your mom ever comes swinging at you.
I love that meme. Because it reminds me, I said that to my mom. She laughed.
Let me tell you.
My mom. She's always trying to threaten me. She's like, I don't care if you know martial arts. I'll still beat your ass.
Oh,
and I'm just like, well, we got to put out these stunts, man. I just forgot to turn the lights off, I don't know.
I'm telling you.
She hates it when I leave the lights on accidentally. I will get a nasty message.
Yes.
Don't mess with Harriet.
Don't mess with Mama Harriet. And
no,
that mother was a Middle Eastern mother. I am half Persian, okay? Meaning my mother is from Iran, okay?
Oh, okay.
To this day, if she wanted to smack me, she will smack me. She'll look up some memes about Iranian mother, and it's something. They just some of these boys be playing with their mamas too much.
No, yeah, they do. They do too much.
They do too much. Oh yeah,
my brother, he
they do too much.
I think that's where that fear comes. Is that you have that imagery of your mom beating you with the freaking chocolate, and you're just like, nah, I'm good. I seen Vaughn look pissed off today coming in the gym. Let me not mess with her. But there's always that one. Will, you know who you are? Will, Will, your name is Will. Will, your name is Will.
Who are you, Will?
He's gotten so much better though over the years. I love him. He is like my brother, but he's just like, anyways, like
Will, you better behave.
Like, tired, it's like, tired. It's that time of the month. You just don't want people bothering you.
No.
And then just like say something dumb. I'm like, come on now. Like, this is not the time.
Go.
It's like you just don't have that. You don't have that sense to know that it's not the time to fuck around.
Don't be playing. It ain't the time.
No. Some people don't have that no, but some people do, and they remember their mom slapping upside their heads, and they don't mess with shit.
Yeah,
that's where the fear comes from.
I mean, I can tell you, I have had, and there are some. I mean, most of the people I've trained with are males, just because of my size. Okay, I walk around, and so they have become my really good friends, and so I'm not sitting here trying to knock male fighters down by any means. They're the ones that make me better. And, you know, it's just the mentality. So some people have the mentality to want to work with a female, and some people don't have the mentality to want to work with a female. And so, like, I've had such wonderful times with my sparring partners. We would bust out dancing in the midst of our sparring sessions and just listening to music and just having so much fun. And they're the ones that have prepared me to step in the ring when I did do that. And they're today still people that I have and hold into my heart. So there's no way ever that I'm knocking down male fighters. It's just, I think we can all be better. You know, we have this innate and natural instinct that really comes out when we are doing martial arts, because it is our nature. We are made and bred to fight. It's fight or flight, right? So, you know, we are trying to survive, even though and when we are doing martial arts, we are fighting a natural instinct of survival, which is like bringing us back down into this conscious state of reality where we are trying to stay humble and stay in control. Because our natural instinct is to fight back or is to run away from a fight. And so it's really difficult, especially like when people have had difficulties with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, and we are all trauma survivors. So people that have experienced, you know, domestic violence or witnessed domestic violence or some sort of abuse, you know, putting ourselves in a position where we are willingly getting submitted, willingly being put into positions that would naturally put us into this instinct to either fight or to flee, because in the past we've been hurt so badly. To put that trust into our partners and our sparring partners is a big deal, because it's like, I'm trusting you not to hurt me as maybe others have hurt me, or as I've witnessed people to hurt me. So I'm putting my trust in you and to make me into a better person, you know, to fight through this. And we are constantly, when we are in martial arts, our brain is really working a lot, and we are fighting a natural instinct, which is to tear somebody up or to walk or to run away and cower in a corner, because we are animals. And it is our natural instinct. So, yeah.
I think that just what you were saying too, and that's where coaching has really helped me a lot, because after so long of a time doing jiu-jitsu, you know, you kind of hit a wall with, and I'm not talking about a performance wall, physical performance wall technically, but an emotional, mental wall, so far as what your identity is as just a human being, not in the sport, just as a human being, and what your actual capabilities are. And so sometimes you end up being your own worst enemy. At least that's what I found. Like, I started to be my own worst enemy, and it wasn't helping me progress, and it wasn't helping me expand my actual capabilities in the sport. So I found a great coach. I found Shanae Momoko. Maybe Tirza can bring up her profile on some of her posts, but she has really, she's really helped me. I can't even tell you, like, on a very deep level in my mind. Like, we talk about our subconscious mind a lot, and I was certified as an NLP practitioner, a spiritual life success and life coach with her, and a Reiki practitioner, some other certifications, hypnotherapist as well. And so like, all that deep inner work that I've done has helped me move forward. Oh, that's my other friend Shanae. This is my this Shanae right here is my friend from, like, this is literally my oldest friend ever. I've known her since I was 9 years old, and she's also a therapist. Cool. But the other Shanae I'm talking with is Shanae with a C, and she's about to have a baby. But yeah, America. She's amazing. She's changed my life so much. I can't even tell you. And now inspired me to be like that spiritual success and life coach myself. Yeah.
You're doing great, Vaughn. I'm like so proud that you're my friend, and I'm so proud of you. Like, you're doing fantastic. You've always also been this go-getter and a person who's always just been driven and not afraid to try new things. You've always been like entrepreneur minded and always had like this bigger concept of things and always wanting to integrate, you know, jiu-jitsu and what you into your ideas and what you wanted to do with it. I remember back in the day, we had, what was the name of that thing that you and Chelsea you had?
It was Von C. I think that's what we had.
Von C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, like maybe Tirza can bring up that video I made during that time. It was the power of jiu-jitsu. Actually, this is around the time me and Tirza met. It was the class we had together, and we had to create a video for our class. And I'm not sure if you had like a cameo in that video. It's on YouTube. And yeah, just look up power of jiu-jitsu. But yeah.
Yeah, you have always had this, like, you're like your mom. You don't sit still.
I mean, I do a lot of sitting still. I do a lot of sitting
well, but you're different.
Now.
Your mom is different. Like, your mom is working on her doctorate degree. I talked to her, what was it, like last month or a couple months ago, and she's like, yeah, I'm getting my doctorate in statistics, right? Is it stats?
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
no, she's getting her
physics.
It's in metaphysics.
Yeah.
So she's also in the healing space. Yeah.
But she's like, it's just because I understand it. I'm just good at it. And I'm like, really, Mama? Like, physics. I had to work so hard to learn physics.
Yeah, this is the power of jiu-jitsu. I think this is Chelsea talking right now, actually.
I mean, a high schooler,
that's her.
You know, a little girl. She's more likely to get attacked
for
by
the
another
viewers
girl, in high school. I have a couple
that don't know. This woman, Chelsea, is awesome.
She's awesome. That's a bad girl right there.
Oh yes.
Yes. She's got her own gym out in Alameda too.
Yes. I mean, she is. I did not know her like you know her, but she is someone worth mentioning, and she is also not only extremely smart, but she's like so talented in martial arts. And I don't think she gets enough recognition for it.
Well, she's the type of person, too, who she wants to be a quiet hero. She doesn't want any... she doesn't really want any eyes on her. She doesn't need the recognition. And so that's just kind of who she always has been. And her father, I'm not sure if you guys know of her father. You know of her father. Her father is a judo black belt or judo red white, but I don't know. He's up there. But I've taken his judo classes before. He is like a serious master. Like, he is so great at judo.
Yeah. And Chelsea inherited that from him and trained from a young age. And then she's like, I would say, you know, and then she went into jiu-jitsu, and she went up the ranks so fast in jiu-jitsu. Do you remember that? Like, she just moved up so fast because she was so talented in it.
Chelsea, I think she wasn't my first personal trainer, but she was definitely my first female personal trainer, and probably one of the best personal trainers. I remember like she is just such a great trainer as well. And she was only a white or blue belt at the time, and she was just getting started. And she's kind of the person who inspired me to consider training. I didn't start becoming a trainer until like almost a decade later. But she's an amazing trainer. She was so talented then as being a trainer at that time as well. Yeah.
And so, she's a good person. She's a good person.
She also has a very good work ethic as well. So she just
hard worker.
Girl works.
Hard worker.
Yeah.
Worker. But if she's like you said, a quiet storm, she's not someone that's looking for it. It's just somebody that you notice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't have that great of I didn't have a relationship with Chelsea. It was hi, bye, or I knew her through you. But it's not something that she did not go unnoticed by me. Like, I was watching her, and not like a stalker or anything, because that's just not me. But, you pay attention to who's around you, and you're like, that girl's legit. That girl is legit. And if she wanted to be a fighter or do all that stuff, she would have tore it up. But she's quiet, and she's great at the sport. She's awesome. She's awesome.
I should definitely have Chelsea on.
You should.
I would say Chelsea, because she was one of her and Sam and a few of the guys at the UFC gym at that time were some of my main training partners. But Chelsea and Sam were like my main female training partners.
Yes.
And Chelsea is the one who, like, really, if I have to attribute any of my success during that time in jiu-jitsu, I would attribute it to Chelsea, because we would have like battle royales. Like, we just went at it, and it was awesome. And and not until I started like going to other women open mats here in the Bay Area, which is what that past video was just about, did I get challenged like that by other females. But her and I were just, and I missed that. I missed, like, again, she's on the East Bay, and I missed that, how she would just, I would roll with her again, and she would just like kick my ass and school me like years later. And I was like, damn, gotta level up again. She was she was so good. Yeah.
We should go to her gym.
Yeah, I would, because I love training with her. She's amazing.
We all had our people, like for you, it was Chelsea. For me, it was Carlo. Like, Carlo was my guy. He believed in me in ways that others did not. And he just trained me and trained me and trained me. And he created and helped me get the foundation that I did. And he's, Carlo, he's in SF. But to me, he's somebody that, even though he's a total goofball, and I can say that because he's Carlo, and I have so much love for him. And I know he has so much love for me, but this guy is a legitimate martial arts master. Like, he's like Hapkido, like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th degree black belt in Hapkido. He trains weapons. He does Muay Thai. He fought in Muay Thai. I think he's black belt in jiu-jitsu now. He's just an all-around martial artist guy. And this guy went to law school, didn't finish law school.
What?
And made himself into this coach. And he's in San Francisco with the most awesome personality. I can't say enough about him. And he's always supported me, and he's just such an awesome guy. So I highly recommend him to train under too, if anybody's out there listening. He is an SF.
What schools does he train out of? Because I know he's moved around quite a bit.
I know he's sometimes he trains out of Pacific Ring, which is in Oakland. But then he and Arturo, I think it's Arturo, they have their own fight team for Muay Thai. So they train pro fighters, and AMI fighters, up and comers as well. And he trains predominantly in San Francisco. He's just, is part of a few different gyms. But he's just an awesome guy. I think it's maybe Hapkido USA in SF, I'm not sure. But I think that's where he's training Hapki. So, like, he also taught me some Hapkido, and it was kind of cool because when I was learning my foundation, he mixed so many different styles of martial arts, but he was one of the hardest teachers that I ever had. Like, come on, goalie! And yelling at me, and I would be so mad at him.
You guys,
so mad at
Cheers
him.
had just found this really cool video of him kicking a thing. That's all I can say. He's kicking a thing over here.
Yeah,
like,
that's Carlo.
That's pretty cool.
And this guy's in his 40s.
Is he in his 40s? He's so young looking. He just died.
So young. He's just like, I can't do these low kicks anymore.
He's like, all right, in my 40s, I'm dead. That's so funny.
Awesome things. We have come across so many great and inspiring martial artists and like great teachers and coaches in our sport. But I think what the purpose of our conversation, which we did talk about, is talking about mental health and martial arts. And we really haven't talked so much about it, but I just want to put out a plug that it's just so important that we don't ignore our mental health. Even though like martial arts is such a great outlet and it helps us, but one of the things that we have to remember as martial artists is that we are, for the most part, trauma survivors, and we are putting ourselves in positions that are traumatic, and eventually we do burn out, and it's normal to burn out. And people that are pro fighters, I think, need to have an awareness of themselves and do the work that they need to do on themselves for their own mental state, because I think there's a very big similarity from people who do go into war, who are combat fighters, and people who are fighters in martial arts, because the difference is that, one, you're fighting for your country and you don't really got a choice. This is what you enlisted to do. But on the other end is that we have, as a fighter, you have a choice on whether or not you're going to step into the ring. But when you're one-on-one and you're getting hit and you're getting thrown elbows and you're being put into submission and you're blacking out, or you end up getting a concussion and you end up getting all these injuries, it's super traumatic, and our body does remember this trauma. Our body has its own blueprint, and it does have its own imprint, and we do end up having post-traumatic stress disorder, and it does become hard to come into the gym. It does become hard to train, especially when you're fight training. It does become harder and harder and harder as we get older to put ourselves through that, because our brain, the natural instinct is to run away from something that's going to be harmful to us. And so we end up coming back with mental injuries, which are so important that we do take care of. And so, and I, by no means am I going to say, like, I mean, I'm just saying there's similarities, and I know some people may not agree with someone that's fighting for their country versus someone that's stepping into the ring. But when you're training hours on end, days on end, getting punched, kicked, doing pad work, going to the gym, doing your weight cuts, doing all this kind of stuff, it does play a toll on the body, and eventually we don't want to do it anymore.
And it can play a toll on the mind too. I think the testament to a lot of people, to a lot of us who continue to train throughout the years, is the way we approach that, as either something that we see ourselves as a victim in those circumstances, or we see it as an opportunity and a challenge for us to overcome. And I think if you're a person who wants to get there, having a coach, like not a personal trainer coach and not a sports coach, but either a therapist or like a life coach, like the one like I have, Shanae, to somebody who's coming from the outside to help you, one, identify your thought process and what you're thinking, and help you give words to what you're feeling, but also help you challenge those thoughts, because you don't have to accept them. You don't have to accept your feelings. You don't have to accept your anxieties. There is definitely help for you to overcome that. But like Goldie was saying, they're real traumas. And the way I go forward is just really being decisive on who I bring in my circle. Yes. Because in the beginning, I felt like, for those guys we were talking about earlier, that I needed to prove myself to them in some way, that I deserve to be here and I deserve to be accepted as a training partner. Yes. And now I'm just like, fuck that. I don't need to do that anymore. I don't need to prove myself to anybody. I don't need to prove myself to myself. All I want to do is show up for myself every day. Yes. And so that's how I choose to go about it. And so I think Tirza was able to find my coach, Shanae. Shanae Momoko. Cool. Shanae.
Yeah.
And so you can see her. The other was the Shanae with an S, Sister Shanae. Of course, I got to get her on. But this is Shanae right now, and she's about to have a baby literally any day really right now. Cool. So we likely won't get her on for a while. Okay. But I already talked to her. She definitely wants to come on.
This is cool. This is cool. That gives me a thought of maybe this is something that I may want to delve into, you know, because I've always been like, how do I integrate psychology and martial arts? Like, for me, I've never loved anything greater than Muay Thai. I have never loved anything greater than Muay Thai for me to do as an activity. And I've, for most of my life, been an active person. But I will tell you, like, as a person who's experienced this, like, it's really hard for me to go back to the gym. And I'm just made 39 on Monday. And it's just like, my brain just doesn't really want to do stuff like that anymore. You know, it's burned out. And one of the things I do want to say is, like, you guys notice yourselves. If you're feeling your increased heart rate when you're coming into the gym and you feel nauseous, and you feel like, gosh, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this. Listen to your body, because your body is saying, hey, I don't want to be beaten up today. Your brain is giving you these red flags. I don't want to get beaten up today. And when you go into the gym and you put yourself into that position and it's like, oh, you know, you have a fight coming up, you can't really do anything about it, but be gentler with yourself that day, or try to express something to your coach. And it's really hard to, because there is a negative connotation and an idea of, hey, you're weak because maybe you don't feel like going hard today, or you don't want to go 80% today, or you don't want to go 70% today. But it's like, and it's because maybe your fight is coming up. And the closer you get to your fight, a lot of times people become more anxious. Because you're going harder. And the anxiety is not to be mistaken as, oh, excitement, or I'm just anxious about the sport. It's like your body probably telling you, hey, I don't want to get hit. And one of the things we do need to remember is that a lot of us come into the sport because we are trying to become empowered, because we are trying to overcome something. And so a lot of people have been abused as young children and witnessed abused, or something has happened, sexual assault, all this kind of stuff. Especially, it's really important that when we're working with women and also men, to remember that some women are escaping relationships that were abusive, and that they're coming to train, and it takes a while for us to have that trust, because we are trying to regain and feel more empowered by taking our power back, because it was taken from us, you know? So not just women, but also men. And so when you are forced to spar and to train, and people have a lot of feelings that come up, gosh, I don't want to do this anymore, or that person goes too hard and I don't really want to do that, or, you know, there's so many different things. But be mindful, because it's really easy to get caught up into this idea of performance. I need to perform for my coach, or I need to perform for myself. But listen to yourselves. And that's going to be the way that you're going to preserve your mental state and your mental capacity, because it's one thing to perform, but the other thing is, one, you're not getting paid for this. And some of y'all get paid, but a lot of y'all aren't getting paid like $100,000 plus per year to do this. Maybe you're getting paid per fight, and your fight is minimal. Your brain is so important, because by the time you're 70 or 80 years old, you want to be able to tell your head from your tail, you know, and be able to be around people and not feel always on edge. So I really encourage people to look into the definition of hypervigilance, the definition of post-traumatic stress disorder, and traumas. I really encourage people to do that, so that they can, and coaches to be more mindful when they are coaching people, especially women or children or others that seem to be more timid or having a hard time. It's because they're triggered, and we're constantly fighting through our triggers. We're constantly fighting to overcome and we are going into a proverbial battlefield. And there are people who are stepping into the ring and going into battle. And yeah, there's respect there, but at first you're going against your opponent, and sometimes you're going to win by that knockout. It's not even going to be by a TKO. It's going to be by a knockout. And knocking that person out is going to be an imprint and trauma for the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. And some people may not come back from it. So we just need to be a little bit more gentler with each other, because we are human, but also with ourselves, because we are also animals at the same time. We have this animalistic tendency, and there are things that we cannot fight, which is what's imprinted in us, which is how we have been created. So, if your dog isn't going to want to be with somebody that's constantly being beaten, you know what I mean? And we're not dogs, but it's similar, and it's conditioning, and it goes back to how we are conditioning ourselves, how we are expected to respond, which fights against how we innately respond. And so we need to be aware of it.
Amen to that. What great words to leave on. We've been doing this for 55 minutes, actually longer now.
Yeah.
I can imagine what great words, what better words to lean on. And hey, if you guys are looking for a therapist, Golnaz is what are your licensures? There's different licenses for therapy.
There's a licensure for therapy I will not put a plug in as a licensed psychologist, mm-hmm. because I'm working on my licensure, but I do take people on as for life coaching or for consultation and for therapy. I do that. Mm-hmm. But as a psychologist, they do take on, we go by the Board of Psychology, which is our licensing agency, and you would be considered a licensed clinical psychologist. And, I'm working on it, but that doesn't mean that I can't see you. And if you don't want to see me, I hope you see somebody that can understand you and work with you. But, for all the fighters that are in the house, when you walk into that gym and you bow in or whatever, be respectful. That respect of old days, we're there for a purpose. And we just need to be really understanding of each other's, what people aren't saying. And we need to be more empathic, because everybody is going through something. So we just need to be kinder and gentler with each other. And especially when you have somebody that's coming in there and saying like, oh, I could do this, and super egocentric, and you want to humble them. Just remember that by humbling them, that's a life lesson that will be with them for a long time. And how you choose to humble them is going to really matter. So if you choose to knock them out, they may never come back, And also on the other end of it, think about that there's always going to be somebody better than you. So we just need to be better when it comes to this sport.
Yeah, amen to that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for coming on, Golnaz. I can't thank you enough. I'm so happy to kick this episode off with you.
Yeah, it was great to be here. And I look forward to your show. And I'm so glad you've been my friend for so long.
I know.
Yes. Yes. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for coming on, Golnaz.
Thanks for having me.
All right. So everyone, thanks again. That was Golnaz on our broadcast. If you've stuck with me so far, I really appreciate it. Go ahead and like and share this podcast with whoever you want. Leave a comment or a rating on iTunes. We'll get Dan back on the podcast, and hopefully the next one. In the meantime, if you're looking for a coach, a spiritual success and life coach who is also does strength and nutrition and martial arts training, go ahead and go to book.vonfitbjj.com. You can schedule a consultation with me, and let me leave you with a journaling prompt. And that journaling prompt will be, how can I show up for myself a little bit more today? In the meantime, take care. See you in the next one.